All right, so good evening. I think we're past the good afternoon thing and on to the good evening thing. This is not church. You don't have to sit all the way in the back. There are a few seats up front. I promise I don't bite much. All right, so here, Josh Holmes. I am a program manager on the Internet Explorer team. Here talking about touch and touch development. And the majority of what I'm talking about today will apply to any browser. There's a handful of things that I'll talk about that are IE specific, but hopefully you've been keeping an eye on some of the things that Internet Explorer's been doing. So Touch Me, I Dare You, provocative title. I dare you to start thinking about touch in your development and in your applications. So why does touch matter? This is why touch matters. Touch matters because there's just been an explosion of touch devices out there on the market, ranging from obviously every phone that's out there. I mean, who in the room has a phone with a hard keyboard? 4. Okay, 5 of you maybe. I'm sorry. We'll catch up eventually. Anyway, I'm teasing you. I always loved my hard keyboards on phones, but I prefer screen real estate. I prefer the responsiveness of that. But then you also start talking about all the tablets. Who in the room has a tablet? What's wrong with the rest of you? So the thing is that we have a lot of different types of tablets out there. Obviously, there are iPads, there are Android tablets, there are Windows tablets. There's funky hybrids like this. This is the Surface Pro. If you want, come by the booth tomorrow, and I'll let you play with it and have a demo. And it's got a keyboard and it's got a little kickstand, and it's kind of somewhere between a tablet and a laptop. It's my work machine as well as my play machine. There's some good and some bad with that, just being honest. But you should come by and play with it and have a look. There's a lot of convertibles, like this thing here. Fortunately, I would just shout from over there, but it's actually being recorded, I think. I don't know. So coming back to the microphone to make sure that it's recorded. Anyways, that's a Lenovo tablet. Interesting design. It's got a hard keyboard. It's got an extra battery in the keyboard, but the screen just snaps off. And then you've got a tablet, and you can carry that around, sit on the couch, whatever you want to do there. Great on airplanes. But when you want, you snap it back in, and now you've got extra battery. You've got there's other devices and accessories on the keyboard, like an extra USB or an extra or an SD reader or things like that. So there's some cool stuff like that. And then you have the all-in-ones and the big touch monitors. My wife just got a new desktop, and I got her a 23-inch Dell monitor. It's giant, anyways, it's got 5 points of touch on it. That's pretty awesome, actually, for $300 at Best Buy in the States. I know you can get them off of Amazon out of the UK for about 220 pounds, 230 pounds. These devices are getting much cheaper and accessible for you. So touch matters because the world is going that direction. In fact, the first time I did this talk, I was at the Amelia Island plantation, and I get off the elevator on my way over to the talk, and this thing is hanging there on the wall just opposite from the elevator, and it's a touch interactive screen for finding out more about the plantation itself. They've got a full app that they've built that is all touch enabled for getting around the Amelia Island plantation and so on and so forth. So touch matters. You have to design for touch these days, or at least think about it. So what is your strategy when it comes to dealing with touch? Touch, there's kind of 3 strategies. Ignore it completely. That's a legit strategy. If you know what you're doing and you decide, I want to just ignore touch and I want to treat everything like a mouse, that's okay. You can do that. You can get away with that. for certain types of applications, for certain types of websites. The problem is numerous, and I'll go into those here in a little bit. The second thing you can do is, and this is where a lot of people are today, is that they are, they start looking at their analytics on their sites, and they realize that 22% of their web traffic is from an iPhone, and another 14% is from Android, and another 2.5% is BlackBerry, and another 1% is Windows Phone, and another, you start looking at this traffic, and then you look at all the desktops with IE10 and IE11, and a fair percentage of those are going to be touch devices. And by fair percentage, I mean it's kind of in the 50-50 range. And so, what are you going to do? Are you going to ignore them? That's half your traffic, or more, is coming from touch devices. Okay, if you're not looking at your analytics and finding out that kind of information, then you're in the wrong career, to be honest. You need to be looking at your analytics, and you need to understand who's your customer base. So people are looking at their website and they're retrofitting touch back in, okay? Or what I prefer is design for it from the beginning, okay? There's a lot of things that you should do when you're designing from the beginning with touch or retrofitting. First is hover sucks. How many of you are using, don't answer the question. I don't want to embarrass you. Don't use hover menus, okay? There's a couple of things that are wrong with hover menus. The first is that, they don't work in touch. A lot of the browsers are making up for it at this point in time, where you touch it and it'll drop down, okay? But there's no facility in touch devices to, I'm not touching you, but I'm right here, I'm almost touching you. That just doesn't exist, okay? And so the second big cognitive issue is that I'm going to take my mouse here and I hover over the menu. And then the one I want is I want to touch the it down there at the bottom. So I've hovered over it, and then I go to, as soon as I cross that barrier, what happens to my hover? Poof, it goes away. Damn it. And so instead you have to teach your users hover, cross over, then down. Is that a natural movement? No, it is not. Okay, and so just don't use hover. Okay, instead, use your click events, use your mouse downs, and so on and so forth, and that's a good starting point. Second is touch size buttons. Okay, one of the things that is crazy is fingers are wider than mouse pointers. Just saying, right? So how wide is a mouse pointer? 1 pixel. I had a brave soul down here who said 1 pixel, and he's right. Okay, what size shirt do you wear? Large. I have standards. So you saw how that works. Yeah, intelligent response, good crowd participation, free swag. Now, there's a limited number of T-shirts up here, so get in early on this action. All right. Also, putting up a tweet about you're watching this talk, etc. Free swag. Not immediately. Come by the booth. We'll figure you out. I'll at least buy you a beer. So. But you look at the size of a finger, and a finger is not a pixel. Okay, in fact, you look at the average basketball player, and their fingers, because they're giants, they're not normal people. 19 millimeters. That is very, very wide. The average human being is closer to like 11 millimeters with their index finger. Okay, so 11 millimeters is the width of your finger. When you touch, you've got a range of here to here, and browsers, we do the best we can to say, okay, where's the center? What's the most intelligent thing that they could be doing right now? Are they clicking on this link over here or this link over here? Buttons slammed up against each other? Are they doing they pushed right in the middle? Do I do the one at the top, the one at the bottom, the one at the left, the one on the right? I don't know. We do the best we can. You make the job a lot easier if you design touch-size buttons. So make sure that your buttons are at least 11 millimeters on an average screen DPI, and so on and so forth. And so that works out to 7 millimeters is roughly 40 pixels. Okay, so you kind of want to be north of 40 pixels. And so that way, when somebody's touching, you've got at least 40 pixels wide on an average DPI type of a screen. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, no t-shirts for nodding. Okay, just saying. All right, so then you start thinking about the ergonomics of touch, and how are people using their tablets? And for those of you who have tablets, you've done this. For those of you who don't have tablets, you can imagine this. Okay, so first is they're either sitting or they're with one hand touching and moving, or they have two hands on it and they're using their thumbs. That's actually very, very common, especially for a phone, right? And so on a phone, they're oftentimes down here like this, with two fingers, two thumbs going away, or they're one-handed with one thumb going away, right? Sometimes people actually sit it down in their lap and they're using the keyboard and they're tapping away at that, okay? These three kind of common scenarios. Yeah, all right, so we've done a lot of measurements, very complicated measurements, figuring out how wide and how long somebody's fingers are. And, well, I say long and complicated method. We painted people's fingers and then had them reach out on a board. Created this wonderful little collage here. People with short fingers, the green area. People with long fingers, the red areas. So the basketball players can almost touch in the middle. The rest of us are kind of in the green to yellow area. I've got these short, stubby little, moose claws. They're big, fat fingers, and so this is a problem, right? And so if you've got an interaction here in the middle, how's your user going to hit it? Now all of a sudden they've got to let go of the one side and kind of So what you want to do is you want to start pushing your interaction areas down to the bottom and out to the sides. And then you want to push your content to the middle and towards the top. Okay? And if you think about that, it makes a lot of sense. You want interaction areas where people's fingers are, and you want the reading areas where their eyes are. Does that make sense? All right, fantastic. So, there's a lot of new things, though, that you should also be thinking about. And this is where the treating, ignoring it and thinking about it just like a mouse starts to fall down, okay? And one of the things is, remember there's more than one finger. I have 10. A lot of people have 10, turns out. And so it turns out, actually, I don't know if you can see all the dots, this has 10 touch points, okay? So I can actually touch in 10 places on this machine. And there are other devices that have more touch points than that. The Pixel Sense has 42 touch points. That's a lot of touch points, okay? And so you start looking at that, and now all of a sudden the mouse, there's only one event for the mouse, and it only catches one item. So whoever's down first, and which one did I put down? I don't know. I don't know which one I put down first. But that one got the mouse event, okay? So remember, there's more than one type of input, because there are fingers and there are mice, okay? And then there's actually even more inputs than mice. I don't know if you guys can see the little bitty dot wandering around, okay? That is actually the radio-tipped pen that I've got in my hands. So this is not a capacitive touch pen. The capacitive touch pen really behaves like a skinny finger, okay? This is a radio tip pen. And a radio tip pen is interesting because, you know what, it's easier to demo than to talk it through. But it's interesting because it's pixel accurate, and it's got a lot more settings. It's got pressure, it's got rotation, it's got tilt, it's got a whole lot more interesting stuff on it than just being a skinny finger. And we'll talk about that here in a minute, and we'll show you how we can do with that. So how do I code for all of those things? Pointers. Pointers are very exciting. Pointers are It's a W3C standard, or at least on the way. It is now a candidate recommendation. The candidate recommendation status came in August. It was in working draft status in February. If anybody knows how fast the W3C moves, that is light speed. There are a number of people who looked at this problem and went, holy crap, how did we miss that? And okay, this sounds like a good idea, and so let's go. And so Microsoft, we implemented it prefixed in IE 10, and it's now unprefixed in IE 11. It's in candidate recommendation standpoint stage. We're waiting on another browser vendor to implement it. Is Dan in the room? Dan from Mozilla? Just calling you out. Anyways, we're working with the other browser vendors on their implementation, and they will be coming along soon. I actually know a few things that I'm not supposed to talk about in front of the crowd. Buy me lots of beer later. And anyways, but that's coming along very quickly. We should be in recommendation standpoint very soon and have multiple implementations across all the different browsers. The other very good news, though, is that not only do the browser vendors think this is a good idea, there are a number of people who have put in polyfills and shims that will give you effectively the same thing. And I'll go through a couple of those here in a little bit as well. So the event model with pointers, actually very simple. Pointer down, pointer move, pointer up, pointer over, pointer out, pointer cancel, pointer hover. What does that look like? Mouse. What size shirt? Medium. There he is. Okay. Don't hit the very expensive projector. That would make the audio guys and the video guys very nervous if you hit the projector there. Yes, so this looks like the mouse events. And in fact, well, it's very, very similar to the mouse events, except that we get a lot more rich information and we get a lot more events. Because we get the touch events, if we have more than one finger on the screen, we're actually going to get multiple events firing all at the same time, giving us the access to the pointer down, pointer move, pointer up, pointer over, et cetera, et cetera. So that's pretty exciting in my opinion. So let's actually go do a demo here. I closed it. All right, so let's open that with Web Matrix. Little lightweight tool that I use to do simple editing, and it's got a little lightweight IIS engine in it. But here, let's run that. And here, let's go look at the bricks here. So bricks, I'm going to go IE11, and notice if I move my mouse over and then I click, and it's Pong with a complication in that it's trying to do bricks in the middle as well. All right. Now this appears to be working, right? Well, and actually, I can actually do this with a finger as well. So I'm going to do that, and that actually works. Until, notice that one of them is moving and one of them is not. If I move them one at a time, that's fine. Because right now I'm catching the mouse event, okay? And I can almost win this level just by not moving. So let me go fix that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the bricks.js. Actually, it's the default.js file. And we'll come down here and we'll say, right here, we're catching the mouse events. Okay? I don't want to do that anymore. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncomment all this event stuff here. And the first one here is if we're in IE11, I'm sorry, IE10, we're going to use the official prefixed one. If we're in other browsers, we're going to use a polyfill, unless there is an actual implementation in the browser. So IE11, it's actually going to use the real events. IE10 is going to use the MS Pointer events. Either way, I am a happy camper. So here, let's bring this back over. Let's refresh the page to make sure that it's actually loading correctly. And now, notice I can do both of them at the same time. I heard a wow. Wow, okay. So, anyways, and this actually, I can actually play with my pen over here, okay? I can play with a mouse and a finger at the same time. So there's some cool stuff here that I can do with multiple pointers and multiple types of pointers all at the same time. Cool? And so let me go just glance here at the code here. All we're doing is we're grabbing the event for MS Pointer Up or Pointer Up, and that's it. I mean, that's the only difference between that and the mouse code. All right? All right. So let me show you this next demo, though. And what we want to do is we're going to use these in a little bit more interesting fashion. So this is a demo called the browser Surface. I don't know if you guys remember the old Surface, aka the big ass table. It was like 40 inches and 150 pounds. This was one of the best demos on there. But I can move multiple images, and if I had more fingers and was more coordinated, I could actually do 5 or 6 of these all at the same time. And I can, but there's gestures. Okay, rotation gestures and that kind of stuff that are built into the spec. There is, wide and, pinch and zoom. We've got multiple events all going on and happening at the same time. Yeah, I'm not sure what just happened there. Anyways, be all right. So that one is a little bit more interesting use of the pointer events. So let's run this one more time. And we also have things like, we can have multiple gravity wells on this demo here. We can do magnetic repulsion. We can change the, what are we playing with here? Little raindrops or the HTML5 logo. So that one's kind of fun, but you can see these are very responsive events, and we can do a lot of fun stuff with them. All right, let me go back and, so what information am I getting from these events? So if I put my finger down, you can see here that I've got a, so I can point, I've got a width of 2, okay? And actually as I move my finger, so it's a little more flat, it'll get up to 4, height is 3, and so on and so forth. You can see the pressure is set at 0.5. 0.5 is a touch event. It doesn't actually, the digitizer on this screen doesn't register pressure. So it just gives us a flat 0.5 and we're done, okay? But then we have the pointer type is a touch type, but I can actually do a whole bunch of these all at the same time, okay? And I think that's kind of fun. There's a whole lot that I can think of about, what can I do with that much touch on a single browser. So let me clear that. And now I can actually do the mouse. And so the mouse, again, pressure is 0.5, but the width is 1, height is 1, and the pointer type is a mouse. Okay? So I can do multiple touch and a mouse over here all at the same time. Excitement, excitement. And lastly, I'm going to bring out the pen. Okay? And so the pen, this one I think is interesting because you see the nice little small trail. So I press harder. Notice it gets thicker and fatter. Okay? And that's because you can see the pressure, and the pressure is, kind of moving around, but there it is up to 8.2, or sorry, 0.82. Then I can let it all the way down to 0.2, 0.05. I mean, you can get really, really, really just barely touching all the way down to really pressing hard. Okay? And there's more information that you can get. Sorry, it's interesting to notice that its width is 1, height is 1. You can also start looking at some digitizers. This one doesn't, but some digitizers will actually give you the tilt of the pen. So as you move the pen, to the side, it'll actually give you like a side brush stroke. And there's some really interesting things you can do with that as an artist. Okay, and it can create a really, really rich palette there. But there's other fun things you can do with that from a gaming perspective, potentially. I'm very excited to see what people can do with pens. Pressure alone is something that I think is kind of fun. I want to start doing surveys And when somebody really slams on number 4, I know they're passionate about that particular question, right? So there's some fun things that we can do there. So where are we at here? Back over to here. All right, so the event model gives us, as you saw in the demo here a minute ago, width, height, pressure, tilt, rotation, pointer type, pointer ID. So the pointer ID is, you're getting events. So, hang on, let me. I'll come back to that in a second. So coding for multi-touch. If you're doing this on other platforms, so here is the current support for iOS and Android. What you do is you have a touch start and a touch end, and those were the original touch events. Those are interesting. There's a couple of problems with them. From a technical perspective, one of the problems is that you get one set of events and it's going to launch, and you get to loop through all the different touch points. And so you're having to manually loop through and process. There's a lot of people who forget to do that, and then it's, why am I treating them all as a collection rather than as individual touch points? Because it could be 2 different people. It could be, there's a whole lot of different things that from a technical standpoint, and they're relatively limited because they're only touch. So one of the issues, and this is a common bug that I find on the internet, is somebody will have a touch start. And what they'll do is they'll see if on touch start in documents.elements, so they're checking to see, and the feature detection, great, rock on. My button.event listener touch start, else add event listener click. What's wrong with this code? Yeah.
Does it also work on non-iOS devices like Windows tablets? They also have touch events.
So it will work on Android devices.
iOS and also other touch devices.
Yep, so it works on iOS and Android at the moment.
It doesn't work on Windows tablets?
It works on Windows in Safari. Okay, but what's the problem here? What's the bug?
It's always firing.
What's that?
It's always firing. Also, when you click with the mouse, it
No,
first.
no. Yeah. Sorry, the guy right here with the handsome mustache and beard combination there. That's you, yeah.
Well, if it supports touch, but also supports the mouse.
If it supports touch and also a mouse, what t-shirt size would you like?
Small or medium?
Medium. I've got a medium. Where'd it go? I think that's a medium. That is a medium. So, almost got it there. So the problem and the bug with this is that you're either doing touch start or you're doing the mouse. And so you pull up in a Chromebook and you've got your mouse ready to go and it doesn't work. Why not? Because somebody had a bug in the website. All right. No t-shirt for answering that one. That was already answered. So what you need to do is, you need to fix the top up there, and then if you've got the MS Pointer, catch that. Else, and actually there's still a bug here, do the touch starts and click event, or use a polyfill. Okay, there's 3 polyfills that are actually decent out there: Hand.js, Polymer pointer events, and Points.js. So let me flip back over to my handy dandy demo here, and I've got Pointer.js. Actually, let's do the Hands.js one. And so here's a mouse, moving along. There's a bunch of fingers. Notice it's not quite as responsive as the built-in events because it's actually using the polyfill. But the exciting part here is that I'm going to launch Chrome, and now you can see that it's actually catching the events here, and I have different colors for different fingers and so on and so forth. So all excited there. The pointer events work with the polyfill for Chrome and for other browsers. Again, we're working very closely with the other browser vendors, and we will get pointer events into all the other browsers at some point in time. So, questions on pointer events, polyfills for those, and that kind of stuff. Yes.
Is it just pen, touch, and mouse?
At the moment, it's pen, touch, and mouse.
Is there room for?
There is absolutely room for other things. Let me come over and show you the code here. Let me go to pointer.js or points.js. So, sorry, not that one. That's not the one I wanted. I wanted touch test. And it's actually this JavaScript file here. So right here, you're getting a if pointer type equals some type, right? And so there's absolutely room for more types to be built in the future. And all we're going to do is add another type, okay? And we can just check that at some point. So this is nicely future-proofed. The thing is that what we're doing in this example is we're doing, and so this is coded correctly. If it's touch, we're painting it one color. If it's pen, we're painting it a different color, and we're grabbing the pressure sensitivity and those kind of things. And else, we're treating it like a mouse. Okay, so the fallback is something reasonable. So if, for example, somebody has a motion detection, something or another, or they're an eye tracking, as I'm looking around and it's raising pointer event, that's okay. I can treat that like a mouse at some point in time. And so you can future-proof your code by doing something very similar to this. Okay, great question. T-shirt?
Yeah, medium.
Medium.
Thank you.
Can't see. Good God. Right. All right. Other questions? Yes, back there in the back. Fantastic hair, by the way.
Thank you. Do you have access to other things like acceleration, velocity, things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. So there is a actually here. Let me I'll just show you the demo. Run, and I believe it was browser surface. Notice it's doing a little bit of a acceleration, and then it drops off. And the faster I throw it, the faster it goes. Okay, all that's built into the pointer event mechanism there. Okay, T-shirt.
Is there any, yes, please, medium.
Okay, ask your questions. I'm going.
Is there any, like, a list that you can get? Or a place where it's documented down and see the full thing?
Yes. So, is there a place where it is documented? And that's again fantastic question. W3C. It's a standard. So. I hit him. Sorry. All right, other questions? Yes.
Are there some demo pages that we can visit so we can play around with?
Yes. So, are there demo pages where you can visit? So, the majority of them would be at ie.microsoft.com/test-drive.
Have you visited them with all browsers?
Yeah. Yeah, you can visit it with other browsers as well. But we have, so under touch, we have a number of things here. So touch events, here's actually the browser surface demo that I was talking about a minute ago. And then Contre Jour is another great, it's a touch-based game. And actually Contre Jour is, it's highly addictive. So I'm gonna get out here and just show you the very, very brief intro bit here. So, play with him, play level 1. There's some pretty little music that you probably can't hear all the way in the back. These guys up front, they get to enjoy it. Just saying. So let me skip ahead to the play. And then what you do is you can move and manipulate the objects. And you drive your little one-eyed monster around, and he goes and he does the, he goes and does a lot of different obstacles and so on and so forth. And they get a lot more complicated. And so, it's here, it's tap to release him, and then, so on and so forth. But it's using touch the whole time. So that's a little bit more complicated. Yes, almost all the demos there will work in, it'll work in any browser that supports pointer events, which right now there is a build of Chromium that does, and obviously IE 10 and 11 do. And then several of them have polyfills for other browsers. So that's where that's at. Okay? All right. T-shirt?
Oh, yeah.
What's it?
Medium.
Medium. Yes? Question down here? One more question. Large. And sorry, you're getting a large. There we go. All right. So let's move on, and I'm going to show you a handful of other quick things that kind of point in the direction in which we're kind of looking at some stuff. So one of them is the CSS snap types, and this is a really, I think, simple concept. And the other one I want to show you is content zooming. So I'll just briefly, I'll step over and show you the demos for these, and we can go from there. So let me go back to here. And so, simple concept. You've got a touch carousel, right? How many people have programmed a touch carousel at some point in time? If you haven't been in the industry long enough. Okay? So, I'm teasing. But this is the traditional scroll where, it's the built-in, you've got a list box, you've got an unordered list, and you style it to be just in a carousel, rock on. The problem is that, right, where you end up kind of between pictures and so on and so forth. It works. It's not great, but it works. Then you have the JavaScript touch carousel, okay? The JavaScript touch carousel nicely snaps, okay? Does anybody see the problem with this one? A, it's delayed. B, if I just touch, it moves to the next picture. Is that what I really wanted to do there? Probably not. So I want to slide, but I can slide, and then when I release, then it moves. And I forget which library I used to do the JavaScript here. I think it was one of the jQuery plugins for it. But that's kind of the behavior you get with most of the JavaScript ones. I like this, okay? First of all, notice it's nicely tied to the finger, and then I let go, and I didn't get over halfway, so it snaps back. What do you think of that? I like that a lot, actually, okay? And so, it allows me to be as fast as I want to be. I can also, stop in the middle, and I still get that nice user experience. And the cool part about it is that, there's a couple cool parts about it, but let me just go show you the code here real quickly. It's very, very, very simple. Where are we at here? Collapse that up. Carousel. And so what we've got here is we've just got a list, and a list, right? So nothing real special about this, just a list, and we're all excited. So now if I go into the, where's my, oh yeah, I was using the jQuery carousel there. Where's my CSS? I did, didn't I? Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. Another important one I set here is I set the touch action to none, meaning that it's not just going to bounce and move the page all over the place, based on where I'm moving my finger. I'm actually programming the interaction itself. So what I want to do is look for snap. There it is. So on my container here, what I'm doing is I'm setting the snap points. So it's the snap type, mandatory. So it's mandatorily going to snap to the image. And then the second bit here is the snap interval. And so the snap interval is going to be 450 pixels starting from 0. So every 405 pixels, because that's how wide the images are. And so it's just going to snap to the 405. Okay? Real simple. That is all, literally all I had to do. The difference between that top one and the bottom one is that. Okay? Question over here.
Is it variable or is it fixed in pixels?
So this one is programmed to be fixed, but there is a variable setting that you can use as well.
Can be responsive.
Yeah, yeah. If you've got images of different sizes and that kind of stuff, you can fix that. Okay. Okay.
Probably a stupid question. I'll probably have to give you my shirt, but sort of browser stuff.
So his comment was probably a stupid question. There are no stupid questions, only stupid people who ask questions. Oh wait, sorry.
So this is all browser-based and like JavaScript. Do you expect these standards to, like, for instance, phone OSs and stuff to possibly pick up this type of thing?
So his question was, this is all browser-based. Do I expect phone OSs and that kind of stuff to pick this up, or in apps and that kind of stuff? So from a browser perspective on the phones, the reality is that most of the time we've got the same engine running the browser on the phone as we do a lot of them on the desktop. So for example, Windows Phone, which is what I know best, is actually running IE 10 currently. So it's the same exact Chakra JavaScript engine and Trident rendering engine it's the same team that develops both of them. They check into the same repository. The only thing that's really different is the outside skin. That's kind of cool, right? So the browsers are going to pick this up as on the phones as they do on the desktops. Okay. So yeah. So now, as far as the rest of the OS and the applications, outside of what I can really talk to, and the W3C doesn't really have control over those things. I'm hoping that they will, that the OSs and other things will pick up the pointer events and snapping and that kind of stuff. That'd be great. That'd be fantastic. Okay, and I owe you a shirt. That's a large, so it's your shirt here. Yeah, you. Yeah. Good question earlier. What's that? Yeah.
Big or large?
All right. Do you want the shirt or do you want to pass it on?
No.
Pass it on. All right. So we'll pass it on to the next question. All right. So so that's snap points and stuff, and the CSS control. So the CSS zoom. So this is a fairly large image, and we want to be able to zoom in on it. And so this is kind of the traditional out of the box zoom, all right? And I can zoom in, and that seems to work. Okay, with the exception of notice what's zooming. The whole dang page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on content zoom. And now, I can zoom just the image. Personally, I think that's kind of slick as well. And so, high-res image, I can actually go zoom in on that. And the code for that is actually really, really simple. Where are we at? There it is. MS content zooming. And right now, that only works in IE 10 and 11. But I'm hoping that that will also make its way through the standards body. At the moment, that one is just IE though. A couple other ways we can interact with the site, and from a touch standpoint. And so let me briefly show you what a live tile is. So a live tile is, you notice all those tiles just gave me new information. Okay. Something that's interesting is that these two, the red one and the blue one, the one there, atomic goal, 800 years of power from waste, and the one below it, those are apps written for Windows 8. The one over there that says the perf doctor is in, that is actually my blog. Okay, so I click on that, and boom, it opens up my blog. Okay, joshholmes.com, and you can see here .NET Rocks, Freddy Moments, Tech Parenting, and there is perf doctor is in, and the first image on that site. First actual image is, I think I actually set it to be the travel site content down there is the one that is indexed higher. It's just CSS moved down. Anyways, so that is a live tile. Stupidly simple to implement. What I did there, I'm going to kick over and view that on the desktop, and I'll show you the meta tags for that. Here we are in the head, and this is a ridiculous resolution to be trying to do this in. But here we go. There's a meta application name, content Josh Holmes. Meta name application tile color is the tile color there. So that's a nice little burnt orange. So you can see that little orange down there. That is coming directly from that right there. And then I've got 4 logos. One for small, the 70 by 70. One for the 150 by 150. Because I can actually resize this if I click resize and I go to small, or I can resize and I can go to large, whatever I want to do there, okay? I personally like the wide. I just think it looks good. And then for the live information, I'm using a little utility that's going to go pull the my RSS feed and convert it to the right format. The right format's very simple. Oops, where are we at? Yeah, so this is an example of the. Come on, where's my? Okay, I have an extra slide in there. So these are the meta tags, and then this is what the feed looks like to give the actual live information. It's just an XML format, and I've got a handful of those up on my website. So real simple to do the site pinning, and you can do it with any page very simply. It'll show you the code here in a very clean sample. Site pinning. So that is all of the code right there that you need for site pinning. It's just these meta tags right there. Okay? And the worst that happens on other browsers is they ignore the meta tags. Okay? I'm hoping that other browsers will eventually pick up those meta tags and start doing interesting things with them as well. And then the XML, there's the XML format. Again, very simple, very straightforward. So we've got a visual. We're going to bind, what size tile are they showing? That's the content I want to show on that. Okay? All right. Last thing that I want to show you here is swipe ahead. So swipe ahead, all you need is a relative link for next. What is swipe ahead? Let me show you. Actually, I'll show you in the immersive browser over here. Come on. Why is this not? There we are. Flip ahead right there. Copy that, and I'll go over to this browser here. All right, so I've got a simple list here, 0 through 9, and then there's a next and a previous link. I swipe ahead. Notice I didn't go click that. All I did is swipe to the next one. Swipe to the next one. I don't have to think about it. I just go to the next one. Okay? Think about any time you have pagination of articles or pagination of lists. So, for example, I have on joshholmes.com, my blog, I've got a long list of articles, and you get to the bottom, swipe ahead. You don't have to go find and click the next link and all that kind of stuff. You just swipe ahead. Okay? I think that's a great reading experience and a great touch interaction. And so let me go show you the code for that. And a very clean one here, which is called it flip ahead. And so right here in the top, I have a what are the next and previous links, and we're done. Okay. And actually, I don't even need the previous. All I need is the next. And I'm done. So just a link relative next. The other thing that's cool about this is, get you a second. The other thing that's cool about this is that this is actually the recommendation for SEO as well. So this is, if you've got multi-page content, then you should use this link in the header to tell the search engines, Google and Bing and everybody else, where the next article is, so that they know that that's related content. Question back here, and then I'll come over to you.
Is the next page preloaded in browser?
So that is a separate thing. That is prefetch. Okay, and so that is absolutely available as well, and you can tell the browser to go do that. But we don't do that by default because we don't want to burn too much of your user's data. And so we will do that if you tell us to. And I forget the link, but there's an attribute you can put on there to tell us go prefetch that. We can have it prefetch more than just the next page. We could have it, if you want, prefetch the next, 3 or 4 or 5 different things. Okay? T-shirt. And we're out. Sorry, you missed. Same question. So that is absolutely available to you. We don't do it by default, but no. Okay. All right. So, anyways, those are the demos that I wanted to show you. Briefly, let me finish up here. Where's IE11 now? It's in dev preview. And there's a release preview for Windows 7 that is out there as well. And everything except for the flip ahead will work on, and the sites pinning will work on Windows 7. Those 2 features require Windows 8. New features, the F12 developer tools are pretty awesome. They're actually written by the team that does the Visual Studio. It's a horrible resolution to be trying to do this at. But I'll just show you this one here real quickly. This is the UI responsiveness. I'm going to hit start. I'm going to refresh my page. I'm going to hit stop. And it's going to come back with a nice pretty graph here for me. And the pretty graph is let me go in here and zoom in. And you can see here, there's nothing really going on this particular page. Actually, let me show you a more interesting page. Close that. And so this is the Leviathan. This is again, it's got great music that those in the front are enjoying. And the people in the back wish they were. But let me go into the tools here and stop. And so now you can see it's a little more interesting stuff here. And I can zoom in. And actually, we'll kill the music here. And I can zoom in again. And I can go see that is garbage collection stuff, that is scripting, that is rendering. Down here, that little green bit there is styling. And so I can actually go see where I'm spending time on what. And there's a whole bunch of cool stuff there that comes along. There's network. There is a world-class debugger, again, written by the Visual Studio team, so they know what they're doing. There's a pretty good console. Anyways, all this available in IE11. Question down here.
This console does work with console.log or still no support for that?
I don't know the answer to that question. Question was, does the console work with a particular library? I don't know.
Well, console.log works in Firefox and in
Console.log.
yeah.
So I don't know. So come by the booth tomorrow and let's take a look. We'll see. I don't know. All right. So brand new developer tools. WebGL, as you saw there, this is all WebGL, and fully touch enabled WebGL. Love that, and it's pretty awesome. Evergreen updates is very cool. Should get a cheer for that. All right. I will say an administrator at your company, you can set a domain policy to not do evergreen updates. I hope that not a lot of them do that, but I know that some of them will. Just putting it out there. More standards, more GPU. We're doing a lot of all the WebGL stuff is all hardware accelerated on the GPU. The UH string has changed, and it's just something to be aware of. What is my user agent? I forget what exactly the string is. You shouldn't be doing what do you call it? Browser detection anyway, but That's the new user agent string, and it's like Gecko. So treat us like you would Gecko, and we're all happy family. Then lastly here, modern.ie. Let me show you that real quickly. Modern.ie. Any brave soul want to give me a domain name that they manage?
Google.com.
Funny guy. Anybody? All right, I'm just going to pick one here. All right, so the engine here, open source engine, hosted up on GitHub, and you can go download it there if you want. All Node.js backend, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through and look for things like all of its frameworks and libraries are up to date. A lot of people, especially like anybody who's running Drupal 6, they're running like 1.3.2 of jQuery. They could upgrade to 1.6.4 with no API changes. So there's a lot of improvements and a lot of performance enhancements. A lot of capabilities have been added as they have gone through the years. And then the CSS prefixes here. So I want actually, I'm gonna zoom in on that and make sure everybody gets to see that. So we are, remember, this is a engine written by Microsoft, and that's the prefix that they're missing. So they're using linear gradient. They're probably running Firefox, and so they have the -moz -linear gradient, but they have forgotten the WebKit one. So their linear gradient's actually not going to work in Chrome, and we're telling them that. Okay, so we want an interoperable web. We want people to write stuff that's going to run in every browser. Okay, so I'm very excited about that. And there's some other fun things that we can do here. So I can go grab a screenshot. So all of that I just showed you is open source. This is not. This is done by a great partner of ours, BrowserStorm. Come by the booth tomorrow, and we can do your site, and we'll take a look at that. Anyways, that's my talk. Let me flip back over to the modern.ie, and then you can go check out pointer events on docs.webplatform.com, and then joshholmes.com is my blog. Josh Holmes is me. Josh.holmes is Microsoft.com. I try to stay obfuscated off the web. I'm teasing. So, any questions? Yes?
Are you going to release these browsers on other platforms?
So, are we going to release the browser IE on other platforms? The answer is probably not. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't look into the future, but it's not currently, in the plans. Okay? Yes?
The new developer tools of AI 11 work for mobile tablets and Windows phones.
So the question is, do the new tools that are in IE11, do they work for mobile tablets and phones? So let's separate tablet and phone. On tablets, absolutely. I'm running a tablet here. If you're running an RT tablet, then yes, you have the same tools and stuff. But phone is a separate platform for us. And so currently, we don't have phone as part of with new IE11. I don't know what's on the roadmap for when the next drop comes and we finally get IE11 on the phones. I don't know. I don't have that crystal ball, but I'd be excited if it works. Okay? Other questions? Yes?
Are you going to update IE faster like the other browsers are doing?
So are we going to update IE faster like the other browsers? So currently the release cycle is 1 year. That's a fantastic improvement from what it was. So I'm pretty excited about a year at the moment. And then there are patches and bug fixes and those kind of things. But currently the cadence is security vulnerabilities and patches and that kind of stuff are done on the kind of regular Windows update. And then the major browser releases are every year. So that's currently the plan. I don't know if that's going to shorten any, but a year is better than it was. So, other questions? Yes?
Can't you force older browsers to just update to newer
So can we force older browsers to just update to newer versions of IE? And I'll show you this site here. This is another site that my team maintains. And this is ie6countdown.com. We're trying. Dear God, we're trying. And, you know, you can look at it here. In the US, it's 0.02%. Canada's 0.02%. Norway. Anybody from Norway? 0.0. Good job. All right. Finland 0.01. Russia 1.7. Not bad. China. Holy crap, what's going on there? It's XP. And more importantly than just XP, it's illegal XP, pirated XP. And so they don't get updates. And so they're all still stuck on IE6. Anyways, the rest of all of this outside of China is pretty much contained to like governments and hotel lobbies and stuff. Yeah. So all right. So back to your question here. Yes, we want to move people off as fast as possible. However, we can't just force them to update because they have written a lot of corporations have written internal websites that are relying upon some feature that was actually a bug or something in IE6, 7, or 8, right? Once we get them to 9, we're in a much better shape, okay? Because 9 did not have full support for everything, but it was actually, fairly bug-free and fairly, close to standards on the things that it did support. 10 and 11, much better, much more fluid. And in fact, one of the things that we're doing here is, if I go into the developer tools, you'll notice that the dock mode, there's 10 and there's edge. So we're just going to do edge here. Once they get to edge, the idea is that that is the dock mode going forward. Okay, so you'll be able to seamlessly upgrade from 11 to 12 to 13, or whatever we end up calling them. Okay? Yes?
I don't want to be, or I don't want to sound disrespectful, but if you, is it possible that there is now a system, I'm not really updated on that, but is there a system in, let's say, IE11 that supports that future updates will be
Yeah, so back to the statement down here, evergreen updates. So the idea is that once we get to 11, unless you explicitly go turn it off, unless you go say, I want to handicap myself and shoot myself in the foot, we're going to update your browser. And we'll just evergreen update you, unless you're stupid. Okay? All right. Yes? And hang on. I realize that I'm what's between you and beer, but I'm happy to answer questions as long as, but I'm not offended if you get up and leave. Yes?
Yeah, when do you suspect that we can drop support for Internet Explorer 8? Because, well, ourselves, 7 we don't support anymore.
Yeah, so when can you drop support for Internet Explorer 8?
Expected, because...
Yeah, so I don't have good telemetry data on what that path is at the moment. We're watching it very closely as well, and we're trying to move everybody up to 10. As of March, okay, next year, XP will be out of support. Yeah. So most corporations will be forced to do an upgrade at that point in time to Windows 7, at which point there are more options available to them. Okay, so there's a... I think as of March we'll have a better story, but I do think it's going to be a lot longer than that before we can actually drop it from support from our websites. When should you drop it? Yeah. Go back to your analytics, look at the number of users. Yes?
I was about to say that. We got a lot of government users and they still...
Yeah, and if you're programming predominantly for the government or banks, you're in a world of hurt. Watch your analytics, know your users, and support accordingly. Okay? All right. Thank you very much. Again, Josh Holmes. feel free to reach out with questions. Happy to answer. I'm around at the booth all day tomorrow. Definitely come by. Thank you.